I've founded and co-founded 51 businesses, you guys. And this was after a corporate career. I managed Mitsubishi Electric's PC division here in the US. And then I was general manager of About.com, got so fed up with the corporate world. And quite frankly, I'm still not convinced that I haven't lost my soul. I had to do some things in the corporate world that mandate that was like really harsh and really out of moral frame. So people always say, why did you leave the corporate world? And the reality is I would have been running one of the Inc. 100 companies, but I think I would have done it without my family, and I certainly would have fried my soul. And so I left mid career to go become the lean startup entrepreneur, and that's what I became famous for. Is I wrote a book called The ZigZag Principle that helped define the lean startup movement, and I non-apologetically went that route. Now, here's the little secret of my 51 businesses. I had more failures than I did success. I had 19 failures. I failed 19 times. That's a lot of failing. And the thing, however, is learning to fail efficiently, learning to fail really quickly and really efficiently. And so I just really would encourage you guys, get comfortable with the temperature changes. I was down in St. George over the weekend. We lived there last year, and I'd love to go at least twice a week to do cold plunge. Have any of you cold plunged? All right, well, it's exhilaratingly, amazingly good for your nervous system. It's also good for your mental health. We've gotten to such a tight little variance that we've got to run around operating at 72 degrees. All the time we got to be between 70 or 72 degrees or we're unhappy. And I think learning to stretch the expansion of your nervous system and your temperance and tolerance for failure. It's okay to fail. As a matter of fact, it's not okay to fail. It's incredible to fail. But when you fail, just do it really quickly, efficiently. One of the fundamental principles that I taught very early on was this concept of fire, 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 aim. I talk a lot about that in ZigZag Principle. And I'm not proposing you don't do a pro forma analysis. You need to do a pro forma analysis. You need to do a marketing plan. You need to do all of that. But spend a week or two doing that. And what I discovered, by the time I had an idea and then validated, I have now, and I don't think we'll have time. I don't know what I'm going to do today. We'll see what we're going to do today. But I had these 3 or 4 tools that I would run through to see, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea, and what was the probability of success. But what I discovered is by the time, when all was said and done, more is usually said than done. And by the time most people got done talking about it and about building their models and doing all of their pro forma analysis, and a year later they're still modeling, and I will have tested 3 or 4 businesses, failed 3 or 4, and had $1 million business. And the reality is, it's really not as hard as you guys think it is to build a business. It really isn't. Even to get now $1 million business, that's not that hard to build. 5 million, 10 or 15, yeah, that's pretty tricky. But really, the complexity and the brain damage involved to getting to a 15, above a $15 million business, pretty complicated. So here's the little confession on my businesses. I didn't build, of all the businesses I built, I didn't build any of them that got over $15 million. Why did I discover I could get in and out of the market really quickly, build it, and it was the creation that ignited and fueled me. I have my third son is a director right now in an Inc. 100 company. And he comes home just heavy in the misery fest involved with having to maintain that cycle. Oh my gosh, the brain damage. And then I had another son that just went through it was a very famous local startup, and they just went through a cycle change. They're trying to go public. And they came to me this weekend and said, Dad, we get it now. We get it. We get why you said you never want more than 15 to 20 employees in your companies, because you're able to maintain a really quick cycle pace. And I think that that's what I want to do today, is I want to give you my 3 cheat codes. I'm going to give you 3 cheat codes of how to be really potent in your business. And I'd also like to couple a little bit of my most recent content, which is called the Values Blueprint. What many have come to me recently for maybe the last 10 years is working specifically on rooting your values really deeply. And when you have stability in your values and you understand what your value system is, then everything lubricates more dramatically. I love to model this little. Are you guys kind of with me? Is this sounding like okay? Okay, so I'll give you my 3 cheat codes here in a minute of how to get a successful entrepreneurial business. But this next part I think is probably the most important. I teach this model called cycle of 4, cycle of flow. And it has 4 elements. It's all the same. The first is individual. In our individual lives, how we live our individual lives, if we're incongruent with what we believe internally and what we stand for, then that's just really difficult. Then in our family life, how we operate in our most trust relationships, if we're professing we live, we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and we love Christ and we love and we're kind, but in our family life it's just a hot mess and we're not congruent, the reality is our life is going to be really choppy. Then we all love to show up in as students or in our business and profess all of our values, okay? But most people say that's what their values are, but that's nothing more than the public face. And then the last loop is our wealth. Now, when I say wealth, I don't mean money. The root of the word wealth is we are well, emotionally well, mentally well, spiritually well. That's what really matters. Money is just a byproduct of it. So how you spend your time, how you spend your resources is a critical aspect. Most people go through life very choppily, dropping down, and then generations. The sins of the father rest upon the children for 7 generations because they drop into hell, literally drop into hell with chaos through addiction and all these problems because their values are incongruent, and then they have to carve out for generations. So most lives you see choppy, up and down, up and down, up and down. And if you're living your life that way, which I'd say 99 out of 100 are, it's just really a hard, heavy way to live. Now, on the other hand, if you live your life in flow, your individual values, what you stand for, what you believe, and what you can articulate and screen out is congruent, and you have an ethos. If you're married or in a relationship, you have a defined ethos and value base that you're congruent with, and that's congruent with your individual values. Most people haven't even thought to go into I can't even get my brain around that. But most people get married because we're attracted and we like to go to the Jazz basketball games together, and even the BYU games, but have never thought to agree upon a basis of 5 or 6 or 7 core ethos values. How are you going to hold and know what you stand for? How are you going to raise a family in that environment? So if your individual values are in alignment and in congruence with your family values, then it makes it more easy in your business to represent and put forward values that are congruent. And then if you spend value alignment in your time, money, and your financial resources, again, wellness, the root of the word wealth is we are well, emotionally, mentally, spiritually well. If that's congruent, then you live this beautiful life of flow. Now, it's really hard to measure like on a Richter scale, but you know it. You've been around people and you know when you've met someone that is in flow. You know someone when it just it just all comes together. When we live lives of flow, it doesn't mean we don't have ups and downs. Our family has put a lot of effort to get into flow, and we had one of my sons, we lost a grandchild a couple of years ago. And this particular scenario, most get divorced, but it was hard. It was really hard, but there were guardrails in place in that flow cycle that allowed the support to be there to hold the container that then allowed stability. We need the ups and downs in life to grow our souls. That's why we're down here on this spinning little rock, is to expand and grow our souls. But we don't need it so that we drop our little souls, particularly our little children, into hell. And so when we put value systems in place and live congruently, we're able to live this rich, fully expanded life. And so you say, all right, Rich, What does that have to do with business? Probably the first 30 businesses that I created, I didn't put value systems in place. I applied the ZigZag principle and it works. How many of you are familiar with the ZigZag principle? We got two. Okay. Thank you. All right. What am I going to give you? Thank you for reading ZigZag Principle. Maybe you'll like Blindsided too. That's my most recent book. All right. So I want to go to my 3 cheat codes now. But before I do it, maybe it's worth talking about the principles in ZigZag Principle. Is that worth doing? Okay, there's 10 steps, but I think that maybe I'll give you at least the cheat codes of how you get zippy and get to profitability. And then I would like to go into the 3. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into the 3 key little summary cheat codes that will give you how to build a stable business. So ZigZag Principle, the zigs and the zags of getting into profitable businesses is, first of all, is number 1 zig is drive to profitability. So you get your concept, you get your idea, and the first thing you do is you chase the profitability, you chase the revenue above all else. I think businesses that, many businesses are built on like, okay, we'll just continue taking investment. In my world, I didn't do that. Whatever it took, I was butcher, baker, and patty cake maker, whatever it took to get to profitability. And I'd put a guardrail on it, and I would encourage you to put a guardrail on it also, so that if I cannot get to viability and profitability in this much time, so I would typically give myself 3 months. I'd encourage you at least 6 months. But can I get to profitability in 6 months? There's only one thing worse than not succeeding, and it's wandering around. It's just aimlessly wandering around for years upon years, doing a business and trying to do a business that never ever should have been done. And so that's what I mean when I say failing efficiently. So number 1 guardrail always needs to be how much time. Then the second is how much quantity of time. Are you going to allocate 30 hours a week? Probably if you're allocating 5, it's going to be a much smaller business, but you need to allocate how much quantity of time. That's the second guardrail. And then the third is the least significant, quite frankly, is how much money. How much allocation of financial capital are you going to put to it? And once you burn through that, if you can get to profitability, cut its head off, you call it a failure. And that's how I got to 19 failures fairly quickly, by failing efficiently. The fourth and the most important, and this is very a counterintuitive one, is guardrailing your relationship capital. And the most powerful thing that you have is relationship capital. And that's the people that you really, really trust, that have power and influence. One of my primary life mentors is a guy named Alan Hall. I don't know if you guys know that name. Remarkable individual. I still talking to him this weekend. When I get jammed up, I still call Alan. Every harebrained idea I came up with, I don't run and take to Alan. Only the ones that are guaranteed winners. So that there's really, 2 levels when I'm first attempting a new business. The first is, oh, we love you so much, Rich. We know that even if you fell 4 or 5 times, then one's going to be a success. That's one person you can take a new concept to. And the second is not your first choice, not the second, not the third best, but you always take it to the 4th or the 5th, so you're trialing out and figuring out if it's going to work. Whereas most of you, I suspect, ooh, great, I got this incredible opportunity and contact to sell to this. Don't start there. Go trial it out and test it and work all the kinks out before you take it to the best fit. So zig number 1 is drive to profitability. I call that the butcher, baker, patty cake maker, or the Maximus the horse in, is it Tangled? Is that the movie? Where it's like, oh, I'll do everything. Oh, wait, you want to ride me? Ride me. Okay, great. Oh, let's here, I'll spin a pot. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. So you're the butcher, baker, patty cake maker. But if you keep going that, once you hit a profitability, you're guaranteed to fail. The second zag is where you add resources and processes. Adding resources and processes looks like making sure you document so you get consistency. Consistency is more important than actually quality. Do you guys agree with that? Who agrees with that? Okay, good. I'm glad you agreed with me. I like to use the example of McDonald's. Everyone agrees it's the most god-awful, terrible food on the earth, but it's consistently the most awful, terrible food every single time the exact same way. And so consistency is super, super important. And the way that you get that is by duplicating, getting processes. And this is the point when you start hiring. How many companies do you know that instantly want to go hire 50 employees? That's really a bad idea, in my opinion, because you don't have it figured out. In the second phase, that's when you start hiring and adding resources and doing the hiring and getting congruency. And in my model, in a lean startup model like ZigZag Principle, if you're not hitting and it's not working again with the guardrail, then you pull it back, you go to profitability. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 pokes to get to the stability of scale. Typically, that first zig is just to cover your nut, just to cover your viability when you're butcher, baker, patty cake maker. Now, in the second phase is when you go to at least $1 million business. When you get to that level, and I call that the cheerleader, go team, go team, rah, rah, make a few mistakes. Oh, that's okay here. Let's get our standard operating procedures buttoned up. And then the third phase is when you go to scale. It's increasing the angle of declination just a little bit by a little bit. I actually wrote the ZigZag Principle when I was hiking in the Himalayas with my sons. I actually had my 7-year-old son and my 10-year-old son, and the biggest thing that kills you over there is the altitude and cerebral edema and pulmonary edema. And so there's a rule at high altitude of climbing high, sleeping low. And so we're going along, and we have Russians charging by us, doing 2,000-3,000 feet a day, and they die on the mountain. And I've got my 7-year-old son, and it's like, what model is it okay to charge my sons all up the mountain? Say, ooh, great, we got to the top. Oh, we beat the odds. I only killed 4 of my 5 sons. Oh, incredible, go team. I wasn't okay with that. And so we were only getting about 700 feet of altitude per day. And in the rest of the time, we were dancing with the Sherpas. We were chanting with the monks in Kingboche Monastery. We were trading with the Tibetans in Namche Bazaar, and just kind of wandering, meandering along. And the result was success with all of my sons living. And that's what actually inspired the concept of the ZigZag Principle is life is not direct lines. Those 3 shifts are dramatic. If you do not do that and you try going to scale too quickly, it's equivalent of going back here to, let's see, Provo Peak and going directly up Provo Peak. My youngest son this last year thought that would be a good idea, and I ended up getting a dislocated arm and search and rescue, dangling him off a cliff to get him off. So we shouldn't go directly up mountains. It's good to zigzag up mountains. All right, everyone got that concept? What are the 3? What are the 3 zigs and zags? Profitability. And if you don't get to profitability, you cut it off. What's the second? Resources and that's exactly it. Add resources and processes. And as boring as it is, I hate documenting the process, but it's constancy and it's getting your processes. That's where you grow it. And then the third is scale element. What that means is oftentimes your first business needs to be a service-based business or something where you're really adding value. That's how you get to profitability. And most of the time, I call it the dancing in my tutu. Now, I would never do it naked, but I would go out in the freeway, and I would put a tutu on and dance in the tutu if it meant getting to profitability. And so oftentimes you're doing stuff you really don't even want to do, but you're proving the viability of the market. So I get really, really down when I start hearing, and I'll probably offend half of you with this, oh, I'm going to build an app that does blah, 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 blah. What's the probability of an app? An app is a scale element. So first of all, prove the demand and the market viability. Prove that you can actually get someone to give you 20 bucks before you spend $1 million building an app, okay? And again, my cup of tea is not for everyone, but you know what? It worked out pretty good for a lot of people. All right, any questions about ZigZag before we jump to the next concept? All right, I'm going to wake you guys up. I know it's early, so I'm gonna give you my 3 little cheat codes here. I'm gonna give you 3. I think maybe the 3 most potent things that I use to get to success. Who is bright-eyed and wants to do this with me? Come on up. What's your name?
Thomas.
Nice to meet you, Thomas. Rich. Great. All right, you got so much to do. I mean, it's early morning and you just, oh my gosh. What have you got on your plate today?
Homework, trying to build a business.
What's your business?
School fundraising company.
A school fundraising company. You got a relationship?
Yep. Wife.
Wife? Okay, better give her an allocation too.
Yeah.
How about you got a church calling?
I do.
Okay, great. That's a lot going on. Don't drop these balls, okay?
Okay.
This is all the things going on in your life. You ready?
Okay. Sounds good.
That's your kid. You just dropped your kid on its head.
I'm so sorry, Ben.
You're gonna wife's angry at you. You just gotta see. Business has failed. Okay, you know what's coming this time. Can you try a little harder?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
really
yes.
try harder this
Really
time.
try.
Please try hard. Really do better this time. That was really a bad failure. And I even held a few of the most important ones back there. I held back your health and your peace. See right there, there's your health and your internal peace.
I know I don't need those right now.
No, you don't. You don't need sleep. You don't need to fuel yourself. You're going to get 60 pounds in diabetes added this year. We'll leave those off the table. Okay, now do really good this time. I know you're going to try grabbing your shirt. That's what everyone does. Well, then you're telling you, okay, you ready? Catch him this time. Does that feel like your life sometimes? Okay. I know I felt like that for probably 20 years of my life. Okay, we're going to try this a little bit differently. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Let's do this another way. Let's see. Do we have something you can put these in? Because once you catch them and touch them, you don't have to mess with them.
Pockets.
Now, let's just get you a little coat or a little bucket or something. Ah, that works perfectly. Look at that. This is that's what you call your managed bucket. Just okay, you ready? Who's ready? That's okay. You dropped one. All right, which worked better? How many did you drop? But that's boring as cuss. Don't you admit? You guys agree that that's boring and you don't want to do that? Okay, so let's try it again. We're going to try it one more time. This is remarkable. I've done this hundreds of times. I did this with, I mentored a blind woman, a remarkable individual. She advises all the governors on government efficiency, and I had a blind person do this same exercise with the exact same outcome. Ready? Three, 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 three. Okay. Better? Three, four, three, four, three, four. I don't know what it is, but there's a true principle of three. What are your three most important things you can do? I'm going to pick on you just a little bit more. This is what most of you do, and this is what I did for the first 15, 20 years of my life. Oh, there's so much to do today. Gosh, I got so much to do. Woo! Oh, I was so effective today. I got so much done today. That's motion. Do not confuse motion with momentum. This is momentum. That's momentum. I'm moving something. I'm actually pushing into something and moving it. Don't confuse motion with momentum. Okay, it's the first tool I'm going to teach you is, I know I'm going to do one more little exercise. Are you guys convinced on this yet? As soon as I put a fourth ball in, watch them all go onto the ground, okay? The magic number's 3, and I do not know why this is the case, but if, and there's been tons of books. Keller wrote the one thing, oh my gosh, over and over it goes. The books improve, but I think that you can successfully have 3 significant balls in the air at a time. As soon as you put a fourth, you're going to start dropping them. So the magic number is 3. Ready? Four, 3, 5. And I can do that over and over and over and over and over. The same outcome. Again, I've done this with Kristen Cox is her name. Blind, the same outcome. I want you to, okay, thank you. Thank you very much for doing that with me. Motion, don't confuse motion with momentum. 3 is the magic number. I'm going to prove this one more time just to put this in the end, because right now, and not the professor's got to plug their ears right now, but here's what I discovered in college, because I was having to work full-time to feed my family. I was trying to hold it all together, keep a marriage, and it's like I realized there's no way I can do it all. So there's certain things that will not yield as much fruit. So you got to very, very carefully pick what really impact. I would always tell my sons, and this is where the professors need to plug their ears, but strive for B's. The A students become professors, the B students become multimillionaires, the C students work for the government, so get B's. Sorry. And that means prioritizing, and more important, what you say yes to is what you say no to. To quote Warren Buffett, the level of my success is directly proportional to the frequency at which I say no. Are you very good at saying no? You need to learn how to say no. You need to learn to prioritize what are your 3 really big balls. I'm going to run one more little exercise, and then I'll get into the 3 tools. Is everyone ready? This is the exercise, and you know you can't write it and then put the numbers in between. I need you to write multitasking as stupid. Don't do it till I tell you. I need you to write multitasking as stupid and does not work. But in between it, I want you to go M1, U2, T3. You get the idea? So you're going to type multitasking is stupid and does not work, but you're going to put a number between every single letter. Okay? Are you guys with me? Okay. When you get done, raise your hand. On your marks, get set, and go. Okay, we got 42, we got 43, we got 45, 48, 49, 51, 53, 55, 56, 1 minute, 103. Any others? When you get you can put your hand down. Okay, there's 110. Okay, everyone done? There's 115. Okay, now important. I want you to go through and I want you to count how many numbers you missed and how many spelling mistakes you made, and tell me how and write down how many errors you had. You guys were very fast at that, and some of you were not in integrity. You were not completing the assignment and not being truthful. The average time on that, even with entrepreneurs, is 1:40.
I didn't do it because I would have cheated.
Okay, you got your errors? The average errors is 3. How many errors did you have? Whoa, 2, 1. Woo, hot shot. Okay, good, 1. Okay, now I want you to do that exact same exercise, and I just want you to write multitasking stupid does not work, and then I want you to just write the numbers. I think it's 1 to 26. How many numbers did you have?
Multitasking stupid, it doesn't work, or just multitasking stupid?
Multitasking stupid does not work. Multitasking is stupid, and oh, by the way, here, I'm going to give this to you. Oh, okay. No, that's okay. That's the reason it went so fast. I take it back. When we screw up, we apologize. I apologize. I claimed you guys are being fictitious. By the way, thank you very much. This is called Legato Family. That's probably the most profound work that I've done, and that's a $500 gift right there.
Thank you. Wow.
That will save your family right there. That'll put stability back in your family. So thanks for catching balls. Okay, now I want you to do that exact same exercise, but this time don't put the number in between it. Just write, multitasking is stupid. How far did we go? Multitasking is stupid? Is that as far as we went? No wonder you were so quick. Multitasking is stupid, and then just write 1 and the numbers on your marks. Get ready. Raise your hand again when you go, and go. $13, $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20, $21, $22, $23, $24, $25, $26. Okay, now count your errors. How many errors do you have?
It's not legible.
No. Well, it probably wasn't legible before. All right, so here's the reality. The most costly thing is the errors. The most costly thing is the errors. Do you know in World War II, right at the height of the war, they capped the work hours on the airplanes to 36 hours is the maximum they'd let anyone work, because they discovered after that people got tired and started introducing errors. So really, actually, every error you put in there, how long does it take you to untangle the error? If you say, oh, I do better, I perform better, I study better when I'm listening to music. Pish posh piggy sauce. You're just making it up. You know what? We do not multitask well. We are not multitasking. And you know what? Understanding how technology and computers work, even them, they're really not multitasking. They're switching, but it's not going simultaneously. So the reality is, you guys, if you want to be potent, you really want to have impactful, turn everything off and do sprints. The highest performing mental people I know, and I know most of them, do sprints. They do 20 to 30 minute intellectual sprints. That's how you get potency. If you couple it with 3 big balls per day, coupled with that, that is the biggest secret. Okay, how long do we got?
Till 9:15.
Okay, so I'm going to go really quickly through these last little tools. I did motion versus momentum. I'm gonna teach you quickly, yes.
Use any software to like organize all the things.
You know what, I honestly, I'll show you how I do it. That's gonna be the next exercise that I do. And I call this, and I covered it pretty well in ZigZag Principle. I think most of the books I wrote talked about this efficiency thing, but no, I don't. I find it better to put pen to paper. I've tried to actually put it onto technology, but you can do it however you want. I think that probably the most potent thing that I did as a leader was these three things, and I'll go through them real quickly. I wish we had an hour on each of them. The first is I got really clean on my core team values and made sure that there was congruency and everyone understood the ethos and values of the company. And when I did that, it eliminated all of the brain damage and the noise and people misaligned. The worst hires that you can make in the world is someone who is super, super smart and someone you really, really like. But if they are value misaligned, we're not talking moral values, we're talking on what you're trying to build and stand for, then what you just introduced is total chaos into your work environment. I did not discover that until my 31st business. After that, everything went so much fluid. I spend much of my time now value screening. I publish my values, and if we have any extra time, this is what I want to go into. This is maybe the most important thing I can teach. The second is the efficiency tool of planting hidden rewards. So I did that ZigZag principle for you: drive to profitability, add resource process, and then add a skill element. Well, if I get the entire team and I will say, okay, get everyone all salivating on some fun little reward. Typically, this breaks down into quarters. So on a quarterly basis, everyone would hang a poster up in front of their desk. And on that poster would be the goals resolved to get to that thing, which is a profitability goal and the stability. So basically 3 things. And when we get that, everybody gets a new iPad, or everyone gets to go on a cruise, or everyone gets to have some celebratory thing, and everybody's salivating. And by the way, money works terrible. Money is an uninhibitor. It needs to be a reward. Probably the most significant impact I got is I had this team of women, and they all got to get like a Kate Spade handbag. Oh my gosh! And then fancy shoes out of New York. Oh my gosh! It was like a feeding frenzy. They went crazy on that. So aligning the whole team on a common reward that's visually planted in front of them. I call that planting hidden treasures, and that salivates and gets everyone driving. The reality is we're all no different than Pavlov's salivating dogs. And we've got to put little slabs of meat in front of ourselves, pant and want to get it. I still will do it with myself when I have something really hard to do. I'll say, you make that call, or you have that really difficult conversation, and then you get to go walk the river bottoms, or you get to go look at the ducks. And so don't be afraid to reward yourself and your teams. Make sure you have a unifying common reward system. Okay? Everybody got that one? It sounds so simple, but it's so powerfully profound. Okay, the next one that I'd like to give you, it's called the 5-minute whiteboard. And this is what it looks like. Once a week, everyone gathers around the whiteboard for a little huddle, a little team huddle. And prior to that, everyone will have come and put all of their tasks down on the board. This is all the things to do in the week. Your screen. And by the way, this tool works profoundly effective up to about 15. After that, it all falls apart. Another reason I like 15. So here's red, here's green, here's black's tasks. And by the way, this is still how I do it. If you look at my planner, I do this individually myself every week. Okay, so then you got everything written down that you can do the week. But if you do that, and this is how most people do what they need to do, And it's totally ineffective. It's totally useless to do that. The next thing to do is to say, what is the things that's really the motion, our little motion versus momentum exercise, and say, that's an A, that's an A, that's really impact, that would make a real difference, and that's an A. And this one, this is an A, and this is an A, and that's an A. And you say, okay, that's an A, and that's an A. And then say, this is a, and then they'll say, that's a B, that's a B, that's a B, and that's a C. That's a B, B, C, C, C. That's a B, B, C, C, B, B, C. Okay. So there they've listed their B's. Now, once you have that, then you go through the A's and you say A, that's the one, that's the second most important, that's the third most important. This is 1, this is 2, and that's 3. And this is 1, this is 2, and that's it. Okay, so what do you think is the most important letter on the board? No, it's not. It's C. There, you just got crossing the chaos chasm. When you have a really complicated, sticky thing you're chasing your tail around, that will get you navigated out of it. It's the C's, because what's important is what you say no to. You need to put the things on there that are driving you crazy, but they're not going to yield any fruit. That they're just kind of, is again the Warren Buffett quote, the level of my success is directly proportional to the frequency I say no. So if there's something that just, I think I need to do that, but it wastes a bunch of time and it doesn't get any momentum, you deliberately say no to it, and you remind yourself, no, I'm not going to do that. I may want to go out and buy a new blingy, blingy, pretty diamond bowl for the business dog, but is that going to yield any fruit for the business? So you choose not to do it. You say no and don't do it. So the rule is this. You can't do anything on your B's until you've made progression on your A's. Have I progressed this as far as I can today? Yes. Have I progressed that as far as, I got that one done. You run out of the room, and I like to always have this in a middle area where everybody can look at it, cross it off. Then, if I've done all my A's, then I can start working on my B's. And the same thing here. So everybody's working on their A's, their highest priority, the things that really are momentum rather than motion, before they jump to their B's, and you ignore the C's. You choose to selectively neglect the C's. Yes?
When you're voting on the most important tasks, is it the person self-determining what's the most important?
So that's the really fun thing, is everybody has this up on the board. And so this is generally in a common area. And that's why I know you guys, there's starting to be a lot of remote workforce. And honestly, I struggled when I tried to do it. I can kick rear every single time with a team that's unified and together with a common whiteboard, because everyone's aware of what's going on. So you gather up this. I always do this on Friday afternoons, because by the end of the weekend, everyone's fueled up. And Monday, you come back, if you do this, what was I working on? But if you have this Friday, Monday, everyone's just charging. Oftentimes, half of them are solved. You get around the board, and everybody says, yeah, Bill, but you know what? You got that B, and then they'll draw a dependency, and your B is dependent to my A2, so they draw a line. So that's holding me up. And I actually, my teams, when I was really profound with it, they'd actually come and go like this, meaning, Rich, you got to get that done because you're holding me up. When I really knew I was profoundly impacting is when I would come back from a trip and other team members were crossing my tasks off and doing my tasks for me. This tool does three things. First of all, it's complete transparency, visibility of the fake if you're faking it. Nobody can fake it. Everybody can see if you're really, I mean, if people are putting down, yeah, I need to do some accounting, and oh, I need to call some sales everybody sees that you're faking it. So it, first of all, it's accountability. Second of all, it's prioritization. And third of all, it's a coordination to see what's interacting. And fourth of all, it ignites fire. So everyone's jumping up and crossing off real time the task. You know, everyone loves to quote that I did. I founded 16 I never put more than $10,000 into creating a company. You guys, that's remarkable. $10,000 to create 16 multi-million dollars. That's the maximum I put in. And it's pretty remarkable that I had those stats. But you know what the more remarkable stat is? My average employee per revenue through that period of time was $400,000 to $500,000. This is why. Because everyone was doing stuff that really mattered. There was no faking, taking going on. There was no noise. There was no transparency. If you want efficiency and really to kick rear, pay attention to this tool. Okay? Yes?
You said it stopped working after 15 employees. What was going to happen?
Reality is this is up to 50 employees. I know when one of my employees and team members' cat's sick. I know not only the names of their children, but their children's friends. And it's intimate and dynamic, and you can maintain the culture so vibrantly. With a team of 15, I can outperform, I'll trash any team of 100 with 15 highly aligned individuals. And I do not know why, but after about 15 to 20, it starts leaking energy. And so I would always sell my businesses once I got, and I know everyone says, oh, that's the stupidest thing. And it's true. I would have made a lot more money if I had grown up beyond that. But all the magic and all the fun and all the dynamics and all the visceral. So what happened is inevitably someone would get in and start faking, taking. And I don't, maybe it was my leadership, because I'd ran thousands. I mean, I ran Mitsubishi Electric, for crying out loud. I know the billions of dollars game, but it's just not as efficient. So I personally, and again, everyone's got to have their own cup of hot chocolate. We don't drink tea here, but everyone's got to have their own cup of hot chocolate. And my flavor is nice little teams of 15. It's unified, it's fun, you can have reward systems, you can run this whiteboard, and you can just dance around all of the big fat companies. I didn't mean to offend the big fat companies, but they really are. They're really fun to clock. Okay, got that tool? All right, did everyone buy it? I promise you that if you apply that, your productivity and your team will rock and roll.
Does anybody do a weekly planning session? That is good.
That's very good. And let me suggest Fridays is the time to do it, not Mondays. Yeah.
What would you say the best way to kind of implement that core team value?
Okay, well, that's the next thing that I want to go through. That's the next thing that I want to go through. And I'm going to apply it. I've got this here. You get the most valuable of all. This is my price content. But let me make this statement. This is my most recent content of over the last 15 years. This has been, I run these called 2-day intensives with some of the most successful business people there are, and this is why they come to me, is to get their values figured out. I was very hesitant to document this and systemize it, and I've now done it. So you can get this on my website for free. You just go to richchristiansen.com and you can just go, you'll see there's the value blueprint. But you know what, I'm just going to make sure I have it, and then you make sure you remind me to get this. But this is how I do it, not only personally. Remember we talked about value alignment on an individual and a family. Most families don't even think to do it. Individuals, most people can't even name what their real values are. They start quoting some sports team or even a religious institution, but you've got to get your own clarified values. So let's see how I'm going to try doing this in 5 minutes or less. I'll just give the highlights of it, and you're going to have me back later to talk deeper about this one, and then I'll leave the rest of the time to questions. So the first is you start asking questions let's see, how am I going to do this? I'm going to give the 8 steps, okay? The first is seek, and these are in the work book, by the way, is what you stand for. What came from your ancestry? Fundamentally, what was passed on that was really good that you want to hold and maintain? Then the other one is, what are you standing for right now? And then the next series of questions looking forward. So getting really clear on your values. But if you just do boring antiseptic words, it's so sterile that nobody listens and doesn't pay attention. You have to infuse it with passionate words, such as, whether in cooperation, we had work, win, and waddle, which meant we didn't hire any Michael Jordans or LeBron Jameses. We didn't. We passed the ball a bunch. And so we worked together, we won together, and we waddled together. And so someone would have a big win, and they'd actually come out in the hall. These are grown, studly guys and amazing girls, and they'd start waddling like a duck, saying we work, we win, we waddle together. So once you have that, you've got to infuse the word and with secret, hidden meaning and passion. Then you define it. You very, very clearly define what the value means, what the statement means, so you can actually have framing of what it's standing for. Another one of the last company that I had was embrace the people, places, cultures of the world. And so this is where it gets really interesting, because how do you determine if someone's in the line or not? By the way, you should be screening not only your employees, but your customers. And I'd fire on an annual basis. I'd fire probably 10% of our customers if they weren't good value alignment, and also your vendors. And so the way that you do that is you have a bunch of screening questions, trick questions, if you will. And you'll ask when someone would come in to get interviewed, you'd check skill, you'd check culture, but then our gatekeeper, which was our executive assistant, would screen the value questions by asking, what's your favorite ethnic food? And if someone said, oh, I can't do spicy food, not right nor wrong, but we were doing business in 14 countries. It's like you're going to eat raw fish in Japan and eat rotten cabbage in Korea, and likely a golden egg in China. So you weren't a fit for the company. Right nor wrong, you weren't. And so that was one. Then we'd ask the question, tell us about your last big win. And if someone went, oh, I did this, I did that, I'm Michael Jordan, I did this, I did that, I did that. And if you don't use the word we at least 2 or 3 times in it, not right nor wrong, but it's not a fit. And so you have these series of screening questions that you utilize. Then at this weekly whiteboard meeting, we would rotate employees, would go through and tell a story or show a video about the core value and how we lived it. So every week we were refreshing the value. When we would do our big reward systems, we would put experience in to live the value, not just talk about the value. So every activity was built on living the value. And then the last part of this that was so profoundly beautiful, more important, I'm going to take 1 minute on this on a personal level. I call it the blood brothers, blood sisters, concentric circle, and I'm going to try leaving 5 minutes at the end. But blood brothers, blood sisters. Who would give you a kidney? In your life, who would give you a kidney? What's the average number in the United States of someone that would give them a kidney without getting paid? Any idea? 3. That's exactly the right number. If you have more than 3, that's what wealth really is. If you have more than 3, that's what wealth really is. Trust network. Who could you call at 3 o'clock in the morning if you got pulled over by the police and got thrown in jail? No questions asked, they just love you enough, they'd come. What's the average number there? 7. If you have more than 7, That's what true wealth really is. Then you got your tribe. Your tribe is the people you love to hang out with. You love to go golfing with. You love to go motorcycle riding with. Or you love to go hiking with. But you can't call them at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then the next one is community. Your community, that's why we typically organize into groups of 200, because that's how many names you can remember. And your last is your contacts. Last circle is your contacts. And this is people that are in your Rolodex or your phone, but you don't really have a relationship. So a really interesting paradigm is power is amassed, influence, and happiness by drawing a very tight line around that, by actually putting the iron gate and not letting people in until their value aligned with you. All the mayhem and chaos occurs in your life, think about it, where, oh, I gave you $100 when I didn't have it and you won't even return my call? That's a conflict between tribe and trust network. Most people let people in and out too quickly. You've got to prove yourself to get into that. And then the interesting thing is, most people are spending all of their resource and energy way out here in contacts, on Facebook, on social media, caring who people don't care what they think. They're really not aligned with you, and you're giving your very best squeeze of your orange to them. And then treating the people who would give you a kidney like garbage. So 60% of your juice needs to be spent in those circles. And then, you can spend your 20 to 30% here, and then give 10% out here. Most people reverse that. And how do you get peace in your life? How do you get congruence? How do you get really deep, rich relationships? And quite frankly, power is by controlling that, and individuals having to earn the right into there, not just granted liberal access to come in and rape mayhem. And that happens when you have your values aligned, when you understand cleanly what your values are, what you stand for, and the same thing true here for a company. You don't let anyone into the inner sanctum of your company until your value aligned. And at what point your value aligned, you have this amazing speed of trust where it's easy and fluid and you don't have to guard up and no one's going to stab you in the back. And you can do that whiteboard and red can say to black, and it happened to me all the time, is Rich, it just feels like you're having a rough week. What's going on? You don't fake it. You got a trust of fluid, quick dynamics to actually have each other's back. And that's why I like teams of 15 or 20. And after 20, that trust started to erode. There's one other key thing that happens when you have your values clearly aligned. I'm going to give one more thing away here. Who would like to fight with me? Come on up. What's your name?
Calvin.
All right, Calvin, I'm going to give you Crossing the Chaos Chasm. So let's have a good argument. Why did you show up late? You showed up late today for school.
I was running behind. I had important work.
Work? What's more important than this class?
Pushing out software update.
Software updates. Well, doesn't seem like you want an A very good, does it?
I don't care about my grade.
You're kind of an idiot.
Oh, no, don't be pushing out a software update. I wasn't an idiot.
Okay, that's what I call bone on bone mechanics, and that's how most people do it. They fight, and it's bone on bone. We've got to get ligament in between it so we can have dynamics and communication. Remind me your name. Calvin. So Calvin, one of my core ethos is say what we do and do what we say. And it feels like we may have a little value misalignment here. We show up on time, we do what we say we're going to do. We have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
So I just would really appreciate if you lived in integrity and we could communicate. I know you had a software update and I want to respect that, but could we just work on making sure value aligned on that?
Yeah, no, I definitely think I need to be here on time.
What did I do? I just put ligament in, and rather than you, it became a value discussion, and all the heat went out of the relationship. 9/10 of fights that you have with your significant other or your friends would go away if we could put values in place. And I just hypothetically, I don't know
Yeah.
if you were late or not,
That was the first one. here.
but you guys see how much do you see how much easier that conversation was? If you have a shared ethos, a system of understanding of what you stand for, then when you have a mishap, you can call other people out and they can call you out. My junior employees, I was most delighted when they would call me out and say, Rich, it feels a little bit like recently we haven't been this. Could we talk about that? So it puts ligament and sinews in the joints of relationship. And I think that's the most beautiful aspect of values. Okay? All right, I did about 3 sessions there and I felt like I went way too fast. I should have covered one in more depth. But those 3 tools, those are the 3 power tools that will stabilize you and that I found profoundly effective at not having brain damage in my company and launching significant. And I've never done it that way before. So you guys get the golden egg there.